Right, good afternoon, and thanks for clicking on to the Friday edition of Vogan's European Outlook for the 10th of May. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I do greatly appreciate that. I'm delighted to say also that this is not the end of this week's content here in the channel. It's going to be a busy weekend coming up. We have tomorrow episode 2 of Weather Talk, the new series talking to the passionate, the professionals in the weather and scientific community. And that is going to be released tomorrow afternoon here on the channel. And it's got a bit of a twist to it compared to episode 1 where I was talking to Gavin. All will be revealed tomorrow afternoon, as you will see, hopefully. So I hope you enjoy that. An upcoming live stream this Sunday at 4 p.m. We're going to be talking all things global weather and climate. So I hope you can join me at 4 o'clock for some weather chat. You can drop your comments. You can ask a question, and I'll do my very best to answer those questions. What a glorious late spring afternoon it is across the majority of the UK. We do have these current temperatures to speak about. Here at Vogan Weather HQ, the temperature nudged up to 22.8 Celsius, by far the warmest day of the year. Yesterday, it reached 20 for the first time this year. It was later than last year where we had the first 20 here at the house on the 18th of April. But incidentally, I've surpassed the warmest May day last year, which reached 21.6 Celsius. So today, 22.8, not too shabby for the 10th of May for sure. And you can see that the temperatures are widely into the upper teens, low 20s across the north of Scotland. And as you get into the central belt, I think there was 22, 23 Celsius in the M8 corridor. Then as you continue to press southwards, we had widespread low 20s, even in a few spots, probably nudging 25 Celsius for the first time this year in the UK. We are likely to exceed these values tomorrow as the temperatures rise. High pressure sliding a little bit further east. A frontal system edging in from the west is going to generate more of a southerly airflow, and therefore we should see the temperatures rise further. Then we see a breakdown as we move into the day on Sunday. That breakdown materializes and deepens and it matures as we progress into the early portions of next week. And it looks as if, at least through the first half of next week, low pressure is going to be largely dominant. Any cool air across the continent is confined to the far north of Scandinavia at the moment, as you can see here from Meteosil, based in France. We've got the warmth, as already mentioned, in the UK and indeed Ireland as well. I do apologise to folks in Ireland. I kind of failed to show you the Irish chart. Let's actually go back and have a look at that. I do apologise. So you can see here, even Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, we've even got a 24 Celsius at Churchtown in the Dublin area. We've got 23 Celsius at Sligo in the northwest of the Republic of Ireland. And we've got the widespread 21, 22 Celsius across Northern Ireland. A little bit fresher at Roach's Point at 15.5 and also Sherkin Island 15.2. Back to the European view, and we've got plenty of warmth across Spain, Portugal, France. Temperatures as high as 30 Celsius at Dax in the far southwest of France. We've even got temperatures into the 32 range at Don Benito in southern western portions of Spain. This is the current visible satellite imagery, and you can see here largely cloud-free with exceptions of high-level cloud in parts of Wales, the north of England, over the Pennines. We've got a few wispy areas of cloud cover across parts of of Scotland here. As the southerly flow and the warmer, drier air gets lifted north, we're actually pushing the frontal system that brought some increased cloud and rainy conditions over the last 24 hours. That's getting lifted north. Really, it's affecting only the Northern Isles here. I think even the Isle of Lewis and Harris, the Outer Hebrides, is seeing a fairly sunny afternoon as well from what I can see. Very sunny skies across Spain, Portugal and France, as you can see. In terms of rainfall, the radar of Weather Online shows very little in the way of rainfall across the board here. Only some showers across Caithness and Sutherland is present at the time of recording. As we go forward here, this is how the temperature profile so far, temperature-wise, is looking. So this is the anomaly for the first 10 days of the month. Warmer compared to average across Ireland and Northern Ireland here. The UK as a whole, warmer than average. Southern portions of Norway and Sweden, warmer than average, but cooler than average across central and northern Sweden and Finland. Quite a chilly start to the month. Very cold across western Russia, as you can see here, and even across much of Iberia, with the exceptions of the east and France, we're seeing below average temperature anomalies. ECMWF weeklies look like this here. So the upcoming 7-day period here, if we look at the upper air pattern for the next 7 days, and you can see what it is showing. So area of high pressure is largely in control, but the center of that high is closer to the near continent, Denmark and Central Europe here. If we skip through, there's that deep trough that's delivered the very chilly opening 10 days to the month of May. But you notice here, as we play through the next several days here, so this is day 3 through 10, day 4 through 11, the 5 to 12, and the 6 to 13. Low pressure, in a sense, briefly takes charge of the UK and Ireland atmosphere here. But you notice here, according to the weeklies, and this is, by the way, this is also evident in other models, higher pressure tries to rebuild back over the UK and Ireland as we see out the month of May. So if we look at the precipitation anomaly here for the 7-day anomaly, go back to the here and now, we do know that we have the breakdown coming up starting Sunday. That sets the tone to a wet first half of next week here, as can be seen by the weeklies. So actually, average conditions closer across the Midlands into the southeast and the southwest, Wales, Northern England, Scotland, Ireland, Northern Ireland, wet than average conditions here. So bear in mind that we have that low pressure becoming a little bit more dominant. So therefore we increase the anomaly of wetter than average. But then, as you can see here, as I showed you in the upper pattern, high pressure tries to regroup once again. It looks as if we have average rainfall anomalies through the remainder of May. And then as we continue on into the month of June, it looks as if we don't have a particularly decent signal for either wetter than average or drier than average, which is quite interesting here. So we skip all the way out to the middle portions of June, even the latter half of June. It's not really indicating much in the way of wetter or drier than average. So I thought that was quite interesting to show. Let's have a quick look at the upper. All right, let's have a look at the sea surface 2-meter temperature anomalies. That's what I'm trying to say. Let's have a look at the 2-meter temperature anomalies and see what they are showing for the same period here. So no real surprise, it's going to be warmer than average. This is the upcoming 7-day period here. As we play through, still a chilly theme across Western Russia, far eastern portions of Europe here. Do we see much of a change? Looks as if we ease off in the warmth into the day 7 through 14. And then as we play through into the final days of the month, into the beginning of June, it looks as if we've got modestly warmer than average conditions seen by the ECMWF weeklies here, which is quite interesting to show. So yeah, that is how it is looking with regards to that. Let's have a quick look at the near term once again, and then we're going to have a look at the ECMWF for the longer range and show you what it's showing here. So this is the temperatures at 15Z tomorrow afternoon according to the UK Met Office model here. You can see here widespread 20 showing up across the north here, 22, 23 Celsius in a few spots across Murray, Aberdeenshire, into Caithness, Sutherland, Ross-Shire. For example, wouldn't be surprised if we see a 24, even a local 25 Celsius tomorrow afternoon across parts of northern Scotland here. 22 looks to be the case, 22 in Glasgow, 23 in Edinburgh. Then as you skip further south here, widespread 22, 23 Celsius. Looks as if 25 is possible in and around the greater London area, really between London, Birmingham, across to Norfolk. I would not be surprised if we see a 26 Celsius tomorrow afternoon. As we move into Sunday here, this is how the temperature profile is looking for the same period. So this is 15Z Look at the temperature drop across the north of the UK here. Now, remember, we're going to see showers and thunderstorms developing likely late morning into the early afternoon. If those showers don't develop, we see warmer temperatures. If they do develop, temperatures are capped off. But you can see here 20 Celsius still across the central belt. But further south, we up the ante in terms of the temperatures across parts of England. 25 Celsius in the Liverpool area on Sunday afternoon. We could see a 27 Celsius, very likely. Now, the model is indicating 26 Celsius. I don't see a 27, but I would not be surprised if we scrape a 27 Celsius by the time we reach Sunday afternoon. And then look at the difference by the time we reach Tuesday afternoon. Only 18, 19, 20 Celsius. And that is to the east of the Pennines and up the eastern side of the country here. And a significant drop in temperature by the time we reach Monday and Tuesday of next week here. As already said, low pressure will regain charge of the UK pattern once again. I want to show you something here before we look at the ECMWF. This is quite interesting. This is from World Climate Service, and this is indicating lots of cool water appearing now in the eastern equatorial Pacific, and the Nino region 3 has now turned negative. Here comes La Nina, they say here. So we've got this is the week ending the 6th of May here, and you can start to see there's been a lot of cold water, subsurface water over the eastern equatorial Pacific, and all it takes is that to rise to the surface, and the El Nino will be gone. We'll be in a La Nina, and the big question is, with regards to the upcoming summer season, what impact is the transition between El Nino and La Nina going to have? Now, this is going to be discussed in the upcoming live stream this Sunday afternoon, talking in a bit more detail with regards to the development of La Nina, the implications that may have on the summer season, looking at the hurricane season, and somewhat of an update on the forecast that I put out back a few weeks ago. We'll be looking at that as well. But certainly some very interesting times to come with regards to the La Nina developing in the eastern equatorial Pacific. So I want to have another wee check here. This is an interesting tweet by Ben Null. He says the new NMME shows a La Nina event developing in July and August and reaching a moderate to strong status by October or November. The rest of the planet is predicted to have very warm seas compared to average, especially in the tropical Atlantic during the upcoming hurricane season. So, and I noticed some of the models are actually becoming stronger with the La Nina here. When you've got a lot of cold waters, subsurface waters, you tend to find that once that reaches the surface, that really does start to kickstart a particular pattern. The atmosphere is already starting to change from El Nino to La Nina here, and what implications will that have? Like I say, in our neck of the woods, it may take longer because obviously we're quite a long distance away from the equatorial Pacific, and sometimes the atmospheric response takes longer. But a strong either El Nino or La Nina does tend to have influence on our pattern. But the question mark is, when does that kick in? That is going to be the question. So yeah, interesting stuff. You can see here off the ECMWF that the sea surface temperatures reflect La Nina conditions by the time we reach the June through August period. You can see here that the core of coldest waters compared to average is actually away from the South American coast, which is quite interesting here. Very warm Atlantic, and we also have quite warm waters surrounding the UK and Ireland as well. The question mark I ask is, does these warm waters promote higher pressure or do they promote lower pressure? Because they can do two things, especially if you've got slightly colder waters to the west and to the south of Greenland here. That sometimes can lead to higher pressure over the North Atlantic, lower pressure further east, but it also can have the opposite effect. Depends on the pattern elsewhere in the subtropics, the tropics. That has implications as well. Big Atlantic hurricane season as well can have influence directly or indirectly on our pattern as well, especially July and beyond. as we move into the second half of the summer and into the early portions of autumn season, we can have significant influence on the tropics here in the UK. And that's going to be built into the summer forecast as well, by the way. So something to keep an eye on. So let's have a quick look at the models here. This is an interesting one here. This is the precipitation forecast here. And you can see enhanced precipitation. So remember, this is the June through August period. You can see here enhanced precipitation across the tropics of the Atlantic, and especially so the western main development region here into the Caribbean, into the Gulf of Mexico here. Now, also for the UK and Ireland, notice the enhanced precipitation further north. That would indicate to me stronger, higher pressure, perhaps the Azores, perhaps over Europe, and lower pressure to the north of the UK. That could signal a fairly warm summer. But again, as I said in yesterday's video, it can be sometimes very difficult to pinpoint a particular pattern. This is the mean sea level pressure chart here of the same model, and it reflects that, what I was just saying with the precipitation. Lower pressure to the north of the UK, higher pressure possibly further south here. But you notice here we've got above average heights across the central North Atlantic. That also could bode significant with regards to tropical activity further south here, because that mid-Atlantic ridge of high pressure tends to act as a wheel, sends areas of disturbed weather off Africa across the Atlantic and towards the Caribbean or southeastern United States here. So it's interesting how it's indicating above average heights at the surface over the central Atlantic here. But this also could indicate higher pressure over the Atlantic and northwesterly winds into the UK and Ireland here. Notice that it's not got a signal of above average heights over Spain, Portugal, France, extending into the UK, or even over Europe, which is quite interesting. But the difficulty with this, folks, is the fact that this is a 3-month possibility or a 3-month solution, which means it kind of waters down the details month by month. So this is going to be something that we're going to hone in on in the coming days to come here. So I do hope you can subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and then we can follow this as we go through the next few weeks. So exciting times to come. Weather Talk episode 2 will be released tomorrow here on the channel, so stay tuned for that. And also live stream this upcoming Sunday at 4 p.m. discussing more about the summer, the hurricane season, and more. So stay tuned. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Bye for now.